The HomeBuilder Scheme. Today, the government has announced a $25,000 grant for anyone that's looking at building this year. In this video, I'm going to take you through how you need to meet the criteria, what exactly the HomeBuilder Scheme is, and my favorite part, the double down, how you might be able to qualify for both the first homeowners grant and the HomeBuilder Scheme. Let's dive right in. So there's gonna be no editing in this video. We're gonna jump in. It might be a bit rough, but I'm gonna take you through all the latest details on the HomeBuilder Scheme that the government's just announced and how you might qualify. So breaking it down from the start, the HomeBuilder Scheme is a $25,000 grant that the government's gonna pay for anyone that builds a brand new home valued up to $750,000 or does substantial renovations. So the renos have to be between $150,000 up to $750,000 on a house that isn't valued more than $1.5 million. Pretty sweet, right? There are some terms and conditions, which we'll get to in a sec. The first term and condition that you need to be aware of, and the main criteria, is based on you as an individual. So it's pretty similar criteria to the first home loan deposit scheme, which we've covered in other videos, in that there's actually income tests, and there's also citizenship tests. So on the income test, to qualify for the HomeBuilder Scheme, you need to be, as a single person, earning less than $125,000 in the last financial year. If you're buying a house or building a house as a couple, your joint income needs to be less than $200,000 for the last financial year. Now, the way that they test this is from your last year, the 2019 tax return, or your notice of assessment. They'll actually ask for that on the application to make sure you're earning less than that. The other thing that's a bit of a sting for anyone that's a permanent resident or on a non-resident visa is that the HomeBuilder Scheme is only available to Australian citizens. So this was another sting that happened with the first home loan deposit scheme. And while you might qualify for the first homeowners grant as a permanent resident or a PR, you're not going to qualify for the HomeBuilder Scheme unless you're a citizen. Cool, so now that's done. If you tick that criteria, the next thing you need to be aware of is the build contract. Now with this scheme, the build contract needs to be dated from the 4th of June onwards, 2020. So for you to qualify for the HomeBuilder Scheme, if you've already signed a contract, you're potentially gonna have to rip it up. We'll come back to that later in the video. I'll go through some frequently asked questions, but one thing to be aware of is that this scheme is pretty much for the next 6 months. So it expires New Year's Eve this year. So it's only for newly entered contracts. And the other criteria that you need to be aware of is, one, your contract needs to be dated the 4th of June 2020 onwards, and also the works need to commence within 3 months of when the contract is dated for you to qualify for the $25,000 HomeBuilder grant. So just keep that in mind. If you're signing a contract now and you're not going to start it till next year, it's not going to work. It has to commence. The construction, the build, your renovations, substantial otherwise, have to start within 3 months of the contract date. Cool. Let me check out my notes so I don't forget anything. So that's that. The other criteria actually as well, which is a bit of an interesting one, is the contract needs to be done through a licensed builder. So you can't do it just yourself. You can't do a cashy job with your mate Robbo. It has to be through a licensed builder on a proper, HIA, QBCC, whatever your local master builders association contract. And that's what they base the contract date on. So that's an interesting one to know about. Some of the other no-nos that the government said exist are basically the scheme will not apply on investment properties or owners that are building on renovating without the help of a builder. And it can't be used to build things outside the house like swimming pool, tennis court, outdoor gym, saunas, shed, garages. Would love some clip away footage of someone like chilling in a sauna right now, but you get it. It's pretty much if you're improving the value of your house, you're adding a bathroom, probably a few for 150,000, let's be honest, like you're probably adding a whole level to your house, or you're building a place up to $750,000. Cool, that's the no-nos. The yes, and like I said, the cool thing with this is really, if you're a first home buyer and you qualify for the first homeowners grant in your state, so you're building a new property. In Queensland, for example, the first homeowners grant's $15,000. In New South Wales, it's $10,000. In Victoria, it's between $10,000 to $20,000, depending if you're building in regional Victoria or not, and there's some price caps. But the awesome thing with this HomeBuilder Scheme is you'll get the double down. So in Queensland, for example, you get the $15,000 first homeowners grant if you're building a brand new property that no one's lived in and your contract's dated after the 4th of June 2020. And you'll also get the $25,000 HomeBuilder Scheme on top of that. Pretty sweet, right? It's pretty amazing. Just depends on the criteria. So one question we've already been asked by a bunch of our clients that are trying to build at the moment, might have signed a contract and say, well, can I qualify if I haven't started my build? The answer to that is it's gonna come down to your builder, because it's gonna depend on the date that's on your build contract. So you're gonna have to talk to them and see, well, can we cancel that contract? What can we do? Because that's a really important criteria. If it's dated before the 4th of June, before today, effectively, you're not gonna qualify for the scheme. So just keep that in mind. The other thing, if the build is over $750,000, you're not gonna qualify. If you're a PR or a non-citizen, you're not gonna qualify. And if you're not 18, yeah, whatever. So that's the breakdown for the HomeBuilder scheme that's just been announced today. When we get more info, we'll do a bit more of a crisp video to kind of go through the ins and outs and how it can help you and how you can use it, etc., etc. But we thought we'd just get something out there to help people, because we're getting asked heaps of questions, and hopefully this just kind of puts in a nice little consent pack, nice crisp package rather, that's gonna help you out. So if you've got any questions, hit us up at huntergalloway.com.au or just leave a comment below. It'd be awesome to hear from you. Cool, have an awesome